And I think we have so much mythology about policing. They are not the crime fighters we think they are, right? We are sold the lie that they're keeping us safe. And the issue is that clearance rates are very low in most police departments. In some places, they have 50% clearance rates for murder. That means you flip a coin and you can literally get away with murder. So the idea that they will protect us and keep us safe, that is largely a lie. And for Black and brown communities, they're not the protectors, they're the perpetrators. I think the most shocking thing for folks is seeing this video and seeing how complicit Black officers can be. And from a historical standpoint, in the 60s, when they integrated police departments, Black communities were shocked when they saw people of their own community standing alongside white officers and participating in the abuse. That is not what they expected. And we're seeing that legacy here, is that Black officers, brown officers can go along to get along and maintain the system to very violent ends.
Hassan, talk to me about that legacy and what that legacy tells you about what actually reforming, changing the system, reimagining the system, what that looks like, what that requires.
Well, clearly, it's not enough simply to change the faces. You can change the players on the field, but if you're calling the same plays and you're training the players the same way, the outcome is going to be exactly the same. Black folk, brown folk, people of color do not have a particular genetic immunity to the forces of white supremacy. And if we're training people to look at African Americans, to look at people of color, to look at Black men, to look at Latino men as particularly dangerous, then these types of things, or less than human even, then these types of things will continue to happen. So we need serious structural reform, not just the integration of different people into the existing system and structure and culture of policing. We have to reimagine what does it mean to police equitably and to police communities and to have public safety in our nation's cities.
Nicole, former Congresswoman Val Demings, who's also the former police chief of Orlando, has an op-ed, and I want to read you a part of it. Quote, police departments should take the lead to revise and reform use of force policies, hiring and training standards, and oversight and accountability. Officers on special units need to be highly seasoned, fully accountable, and regularly rotated. I wonder if that feels then sufficient to you.
I feel like it's very naive. And I would like more officers, more leadership, police leadership to come forward and say that they know that there's an underground police system in units all over major cities. There is their own code, right? These officers, there's no manual that says that they can do this to a citizen in our country, but they all participated in that culture. And I think to whistleblow on any of your colleagues in blue is to be, as in Chicago, dead on the street. That's what the Department of Justice found, is that whistleblowers weren't even safe. So it is not really truthful to say we need new manuals. There's already manuals that say that you cannot execute someone on the street. The problem is police have their own clandestine culture, and to not participate in it means you do not get promoted. You don't get any incentives in the structure to be, a sergeant and move up the ranks. And many of the people that have made it to policing leadership have gone along to get along, or they've turned a blind eye. So it's really hard to hear police leadership say this when their unions continue to vote in the worst among them and also thwart reform at every stage of the game.
Well, Hassan, to that point, I've got less than a minute left, but I do want to ask you how much of this you think we can legislate our way out of.
Some of it around the edges, but we also have to realize that we have a decentralized police system. So we can legislate in Congress, but we can eliminate some things. But we have so many different municipalities, so many different police districts, that legislation in and of itself is not going to be enough. We do need exactly what was said. We need to reimagine. We need to restructure. We need to reconfigure the way in which we police. And that's more than just legislation. That's the political will. And that's a cultural shift that we need in this nation.